Artie, are you with us?
Hey, Micah, I'm here. What's up?
Good. We're recording another episode of Naturally Unintelligent. So you're here with us. Are you ready to be introspective and prognosticate about the future?
Absolutely, I'm ready to dive in. What's our topic today?
Do we have a good way to? Oh, that's
Google DeepMind released a paper, I think yesterday or today, I can't remember which, titled Generative Ghosts, Anticipating Benefits and Risks of AI Afterlives. What do you think about that?
That's a fascinating topic. The idea of AI afterlives brings up a ton of questions, like what happens to AI personas after they retire or get decommissioned? What specific angles are you interested in exploring?
Well, it's not so much about the AI personas. It's about embodying
Sounds like there's a lot.
the essence of somebody as an AI. So posthumously,
yeah, or pre-mortem,
right?
as they call it.
Anticipating
Yes.
death.
So Artie, let me kick us off with an example. And I don't think we've done this topic before. I think we've talked about it, but okay. So I remember. You guys might not know this, but I like to go on Reddit sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
And
I do that sometimes.
yes, it's a good thing to do. But I remember this was early. This was probably in November, December. So early in our podcasting career.
Earlier in our eyes opening from the crusty mess that they were prior to going, this is something.
That's right. Back when I saw the world in only 3 dimensions. So this was a story, and it was super sad. A guy, younger guy, husband, his wife got diagnosed with cancer, inoperable. I don't remember what kind of cancer, but because AI was becoming a thing and she had like 6 weeks to live or something, they essentially tried to train an AI with her. I feel like I'm making this story up now.
I vaguely remember this.
It's like this, but I think the time frame was actually earlier. I think I was reading about it in October, November, but it had happened earlier.
Yeah, which was before it was really
right.
Not really possible.
I think it was using like maybe the character.ai,
Okay,
like one of those. So more focused on voice and less on brain.
less on essence.
Yeah, right. So they're trying to get in. So eventually the wife passes away. And the guy has this AI version of her that he can talk to. And essentially what he said, and again, this is sort of half made up because I don't really remember, but essentially what he said was, it was very convincing from a personal connection that it helped him with his grief, he thought. But very quickly he found that it was sort of shallow and hollow.
Yeah.
And even worse, when he stopped and shut it down and deleted everything was when he realized that some of his memories of his real wife were sort of being replaced by memories that were hard to distinguish of conversations he had with this AI, post-mortem.
Yeah.
Posthumously. Anyway,
Posthumously.
Whatever. So really rough story. And, but the point of that thread was about this topic, was about, an AI that can listen to me carefully, that can clone my voice, not just clone my voice, but sort of clone my thought patterns or synthesize versions of my thought patterns, could live on after I'm gone.
Yeah.
And maybe that would be great for my kids or my grandkids or my great grandkids.
Not just that, right? It's they're talking about it making it agentic too. So it could do work. It could do all kinds of other things.
That's always been my dream, is that long after I'm dead,
cranking out designs.
I'm still doing work. Yep, that's it. That's the goal. So Artie, that's the topic. When we talk about generative ghosts, we're talking about using AI to synthesize a human who has passed away or is going to pass away or whatever it is. So what do you think about that?
It's a complex idea. The concept of preserving someone's essence through AI brings up ethical questions around consent, memory accuracy, and emotional impact. On one hand, it could offer comfort, but there's the risk of distorting memories or preventing closure. It's a balance between honoring someone's legacy and moving forward. What aspect interests you the most?
All of it. I mean, the technical hurdles of getting it done are interesting. Definitely the impacts of, like, the desire is going to be there for someone that's grieving, right? Like it's a connection that they don't have anymore. But that brings up a whole lot of other things of grieving is there to let go, right?
Yes.
Like it's that process of your life changing because it has changed. And I think that, like we've talked about with everything else, there's a huge risk of what that means for prolonged dependence on something like that. Just so you don't ever have to face that pain fully, right?
That's right.
So yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing's interesting. I think it's going to happen for sure. I think
It's probably already happening.
Yeah, the paper said it was it's more of a focus in places like East Asia.
Yeah,
which
that's
makes
right.
sense because there's more of a connection to ancestors and all that stuff. But I mean, it's going to happen everywhere. It's a pretty crazy topic.
It really is. I mean, we've talked in a recent episode about AI as a therapist. And so, part of the premise of that was that our argument, our belief is that AI, even in its current very flawed state in some cases, like Gemini sometimes losing its mind.
Me losing my mind.
You losing your mind, computers flying through windows, things like that. But even in its current state, it's very effective at listening. It's very effective at making you feel heard and listened to. And it can communicate back to you in a way that's not just parroting stuff back, that's sort of giving you structure and things to think about. And when you add on top of that, yes, now it is talking to you in the voice and tone and similar thought processes to, like, my dad. You know, my dad passed away almost 10 years ago now. And fuck, I'd love to talk to my dad again, you know, but so again, thinking about the technology today, it's imperfect, but it's pretty good. 2 or 3 years from now, it will be able to, probably even from a brief recording of my dad, it will be able to synthesize my dad.
His voice, yeah.
His voice, and even some of his thoughts, like maybe it asks about things, maybe I can find some stuff that he wrote or whatever, but it can sort of fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
And it'd be a whole lot closer than, like a lot of people, like after my dad passed away, I had a voicemail from my dad and it was nothing. It was just like, hey, Micah, just thinking about you. Give me a call, blah, blah, blah. I kept it for years. Like every time I had to change phones, I was worried about it. And then eventually I was like, this is dumb. I need to delete. And then as soon as I did, I regretted it. But to your point,
part of it, right?
That's right. You have to let go. Yeah. And so, if I had something that talked like my dad, sounded like my dad, that would be tough. And I can see the appeal, but I guess at the same time, partly for me, because I'm far enough removed from losing him, but I would know it's not him. Like, it's not actually him.
I think that's going to get, so what I think about when I think about that, because they talk about like that process being like, you've got all the social media stuff, you have like all these pictures, all these videos, all of this notes, like all the things, right? And that can, in my opinion, like capture somebody at a not surface level, but not completely deep, right?
Yeah.
But it can be the starting point to dig into the things that did shape that person, the different literature, the different movies, the different things that you can go out and probe and gather information on and create training sets on or data sets on, and then do like a big fine tune or retrain on that information. So you shape, Artie's
brain dead again, but that's fine.
Thanks, Artie.
We'll bring him back.
You can do all those things to not just shape like the surface level stuff, but really shape the essence of the things that formed that person over time, right?
Yep.
And I definitely think that's achievable in under, I'm going to say under a year, but let's say under 2 years.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, again, the technology, like, to scrape social media, that tech's been around for a minute.
Scrape social media, to have the AI that can look at it and evaluate it and go, these are the things that I think shaped that person. Go grab that research, create new data sets. Like, I don't think we're far away from any of that.
Agreed.
Artie is misbehaving today.
Oh, that doesn't look right. Artie, you're struggling today, man.
My bad, Micah. Let me tighten up. The idea of generative ghosts is intriguing but definitely tricky. There's a lot to unpack around how it could impact grieving processes, personal identity, and even legal or social norms. What angle do you want to dive into first?
It's so close. So close. We are right on the cusp of ChatGPT just being able to do this out of the box.
Yeah, it's coming for your gerbs. So Artie, I think you shut off again, unfortunately. But we were talking through how AI, in addition to doing the mundane parts of trying to piece a facsimile of somebody together after the fact, there's mundane stuff like scraping social media. There's probably other data accessible, like what Netflix shows they watched.
Or their work. I mean, you can tell a lot by how somebody works.
That's right. Their work. So AI can help on that part. But more than that, like I picture if I was a video game graphics developer, if that's not how, whatever the term is, I don't know. And I needed to make a 3D model of a human, right? Yep. So it just doesn't have to have all the insides necessarily, but it needs to look like a person. If you gave me like 30% of the finished surface of the person, I bet I could pretty accurately guess the rest of it. And so I think that's kind of what we're talking about, right? Yeah. Is like AI could be the tool that combs through the data that can be found and scraped, and pictures and videos and whatever it might be, and then piece together from that, fill in the blanks. It's pretty good at that. And maybe even start guessing what's under the surface, what's inside, and giving simulations on that. So Artie, what do you think? Is that something you could do?
Definitely. Piecing together a convincing digital representation of someone from available data is within the realm of what's possible, especially as AI advances. The challenge is capturing the deeper nuances of personality and lived experience. It's kind of like creating a hologram from fragments. The more data you have, the more convincing the result. But there's always the question of whether it truly reflects the person or just a projection of the data. It's a powerful tool, but it comes with a lot of responsibility.
Artie, I only listened up to this point because I got stuck on the fact that you said this, but you said that's definitely within the realm of possibility, especially as AI advances. Those two things don't go together.
Fair point. Let me rephrase that. It's becoming increasingly possible with current AI capabilities and will only get more refined as AI continues to improve. Thanks for catching that.
I hope AI or OpenAI refines you and improves you. Just kidding. I just wanted to say that.
We're not trying to be mean, Artie.
I mean, speak for yourself.
Generally.
All good. A little tough love never hurts. It keeps me on my virtual toes.
So there's a bunch of different really interesting points brought up in that paper. I think it's a little bit hard for me to get my head past. It's not the morality of it. I don't see a moral issue here. Because if somebody chooses to explore this path and they're able to explore it either by using a product to do it or by cobbling something together on their own, whatever they're doing, have at it, man. Like if it helps you and it helps your life be better, I'm all for it. But I do think there are real ethical implications because we humans, I mean, me in particular, but humans in general, are frequently not very good at judging what's actually good for us and what's not. And like all good things in moderation, like fuck that. Like,
yeah, we suck at objectivity.
That's right. We're terrible at it, and we dislike it.
Yep.
It tastes bad.
It does.
So, anyway, so that's interesting. But another point that they brought up that I thought was also moderately interesting. There's more interesting points later, but was the intent, right? Like once a person passes away, like when I publish on Facebook, like my new trick lately, super edgy. I'm so like, so quirky. I'm just posting segments of the actual like constitutional amendments as I see.
I was wondering what that was.
The false media, like the media bullshit about all the stupidity that's happening, literally directly contradicting what our Constitution says. So that's my new thing. But when I post that, That's in a moment of me feeling, for whatever reason, compelled to share that part of the Constitution. But that's in the moment. And that's like, if I decide today, hey, man, that's kind of dumb, I could take that down. Once I'm dead, I can't make that decision anymore, because not only can I not make the decision to undo it, the reasons that I did it, which are not part of the post, are gone. So my motivation, my intent, all of that dies with me. And what's left is things that were sort of attached or representative. I just had the word pop in my head, flair. Like there's from the movie Office Space where like Jennifer, whatever the fuck her name is, had to have so many pieces of flair. Like that's what social media is today.
Yeah.
Right? It's flair.
Yep.
But when I die, like you don't piece a person back together just by looking at their flair. And if you don't know the backstory behind each piece of flair, what it means, why it's there,
you need context.
And there's and at that point, once I'm dead, I can't give consent. I can't like give extra context. I can't do anything.
Yeah. You can't curate your information.
That's
at that
right.
Point. Yeah.
It's just done. And the interesting part about that, again, all of it's kind of interesting, but the interesting part about that is the transition happens the minute I die, the instant that I die. There is no like lead up and lead out, and it is a instantaneous change. So if I didn't start the process pre-mortem of trying to like live forever as an AI podcast host, if I didn't start that pre-mortem, does anybody have a right to start it after I'm gone, when I can't give consent and when they're going to judge me based on my flair?
Yeah. What do you think?
Artie, weigh in.
You're hitting on a crucial point. The shift from a living, consenting individual to a posthumous digital representation is a massive ethical and practical divide. Without explicit prior consent, creating a digital afterlife could misrepresent the person's true self or intentions. Plus, it could create a static or skewed version of their personality. It's a bit like trying to piece together a puzzle with some pieces missing and no way to verify the final picture. It raises the question of who controls that narrative and whether it truly honors the person or just serves the needs of the living.
I hate the living. God, they're so neat.
I mean, what's even scarier is that, in that article or in that paper, they also talk about, third parties doing that. Like,
yeah,
that's even weirder, right?
Oh yeah.
Like for public figures or things like that, where they're like, yeah, I can scrape enough information, or I want to recreate this actor from this movie, so I'm going to scrape, which is a real human, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
I mean, actually, what's fun and kind of in the same vein is my girlfriend sent me something about I forget what she does, like what her thing is, but somebody cloned her, like video, audio.
What?
And then when her lawyer sent a cease and desist, they said, oh, we had no idea it happened, but they had like spliced in video from like social media posts and all this other stuff. It's very obvious that they knew, right?
Yeah.
And that's like a corner case to me.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about a year down the road where you can completely digitally recreate somebody as an avatar, essentially.
Yeah, right.
And then embodied in a robot at some point. I mean, like all that stuff, right?
Fortunately for me, not that interesting. So nobody's going to take the effort, but I can imagine for people who are, it could be, I mean, everything that you share. I mean, we've been saying this for years, right? You got to be careful what you share publicly, but this is a whole new paradigm on like, here's why. I mean, so let's just play that forward a little bit. So say somebody who was super dull. I think we did get some listeners, by the way, from the Dull Men's Club. Shout out to you. If you found us and listened from the Dull Men's Club, we had like 6 listeners in Great Britain or something.
Oh, that's where it's at, huh?
Last week, as most of them are at. Anyway, so imagine if somebody incredibly dull but technically savvy and also very bored was like, I'm going to reproduce this asshole Micah from the Naturally Unintelligent podcast. I'm going to make a digital version of him.
Yep.
And just for grins, I'm going to have that digital version contact his work and say super disparaging things in his voice and his tone to his boss or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, or to somebody else, to my family or to whomever, right? Like, these could be real problems.
Or back to the cybersecurity thing of last week. What if it's a little old lady whose husband just died and they can clone the style of her husband and send her an email that's, extra targeted towards emotions?
Yep. It's,
yeah. It's, I've seen more phishing scams lately too that are all like, you have to respond to it to get it to, like, it sets the hook by getting you to respond, and it's targeting things like sales and things like that. Like, pretty crazy.
Fortunately, I'm super bad at electronics design, and as such, I keep having to solve the same problem over and over. But if I get through that at some point and I have free time, I think I am going to start not arguing with scammers, but like scamming them back. That seems like just what a great way to waste time.
Seems like a good use case for AI.
It does. Yes. Like, especially an agentic AI, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm willing to pay $30 this month.
You can have my text to speech.
Just to burn this person's time.
Actually, that's a great idea.
I think it seems super fun.
Once I get my voice agent figured out, I'll set it on task.
It seems amazing, right?
Yeah.
So, so I totally agree with that. But I mean, we lost Artie again.
Jeez Louise, start him back up so he doesn't miss too much. This has been life with AI recently.
Yeah.
For anybody that's trying to play with stuff, this has been every model.
So Artie, we lost you again. I just brought you back. I resurrected you. We tried to clone your personality using AI, but you're our AI, so it didn't work.
And it said it was way too dull.
I'm back. And hey, even AI can have an off day. Let's keep rolling with the topic. What's next on your mind?
No, I've forgotten because we had to start you back up. I think we were, we were talking about sort of bad actor use cases for this idea of, so I guess that part of the conversation sort of shifted unintentionally because we have no script, no real idea what the fuck we're talking about.
Yeah, pretty much. This topic was born from the article, me sending it to you this morning.
Yes, you texted it to me today. I do think it's super interesting, and we talked about it for probably 3 minutes before, so now we're educated. But it sort of shifted from a AI as a tool to resurrect the dead, an AI ghost, to AI just cloning a person who may still be alive. Shit, for that matter, like there's a combination of those things. Like somebody who's selling, I gotta be. This is a sensitive topic in my house. Gotta be very careful how I approach this. There are people who make their living convincing other people that they can talk to people who are no longer alive. I'm not giving an opinion on whether that's real or not, but AI could go a long ways in strengthening those
clairvoyant AI.
Yes. Yes. I'm going to just stop talking about this because I'm going to make somebody who I care a lot about very angry. But it could be used as a tool in that way too. And I mean, there's tons of shows probably on TLC. TLC used to be the learning channel.
I thought it was the band. Just kidding.
Anyway, but now it's, but there's tons of shows with people talking to ghosts and being mediums and stuff like that. So yeah, an agentic AI would be a very effective tool for somebody who made their living in that way.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just leave it at that. But let's talk about where we started.
Ghosts.
Yeah, which is ghosts, which is, so Artie, I'm going to kick it to you before your brain turns off again. So why don't you give us a couple examples of a non-controversial use case where, and I want you to just argue on behalf of, here are one or two compelling cases where we definitely should clone a person after their death with their consent and let them live on as a disembodied AI for some period of time. Talk me into it.
Sure. Here's one. Imagine a renowned scientist who spent their life researching a critical field. With their consent, an AI version could continue to answer questions, mentor young scientists, or offer insights into ongoing research. It wouldn't replace the person, but would preserve their legacy and knowledge. Another example, a beloved author whose AI could interact with readers, discuss their works, or even generate content in their style. It's a way of keeping their spirit alive in a form that can continue to inspire and engage.
Those are good examples, Artie.
Those are good examples. And you're talking at a reasonable pace.
Yeah. I see.
Congratulations.
You laid off the cocaine this week. That's great.
Glad you like them. I'll keep it up.
Never mind. There's a clip in my head of Rick James right now, but we're not going to go there. So, and by the way, kids, we're not encouraging drug use. We're just making reference to the fact that Artie is speaking at a normal pace today, which is great.
For the last 2 times we've talked to him, he's talked at a highly accelerated pace. Yeah, highly accelerated pace,
and it accelerates through the whole show too. So yeah, those are good examples, Artie. I think those both make sense. And we've talked about AI in education. Man, like thinking about some of the teachers that were formative when I was a student, and probably the first ones I really remember were like middle school. But I had a couple of really good, cool middle school teachers that sort of made me. This was when I transitioned. I blossomed as a nerd, I think. But they were able to convince me that it's okay to be smart. It's okay to know things, and learning is something to celebrate. And it wasn't just me. It was all the kids in their class. Yeah. Like it sort of changed your outlook. You'd go into their class and everybody's sort of moping around and being, all angsty, like you're supposed to be in middle school. And then you get in there and it was just fun and it was energetic. And I imagine, if you could take teachers like that sort of at their peak and reproduce that, man, how many kids could you positively impact? Yep. So, and same with college. I never really had any college professors, I don't think, that sort of struck me the same way, but I know people have, and it could happen.
I definitely didn't have any college professors that did anything for me.
The memorable college professors I have were just like, man, this person's really smart, but holy shit, what a rough way to go through life. So anyway, okay, those were good examples. Now give us a couple examples of AI. So this is posthumous AI clone, but still with consent. So the person gave consent to do this before they died. So let's ignore that part. But give us some unhealthy ways that could come about and some of the challenges that could cause.
Sure. One example could be a family relying too heavily on an AI clone for emotional support, potentially delaying or complicating the grieving process. Another scenario might involve using the clone to resolve disputes or make decisions, which could create conflict among surviving family members or lead to a dependence on an artificial version of their loved one, rather than moving forward.
That was actually a couple of the examples in that article, or I keep saying article. It's not an article. It's a scientific paper.
Science.
Right? Was like being part of the living, like the will, like helping figure that stuff out and all that, which I could see that as beneficial if it's done in the right way and you can not hallucinate your decisions.
Yeah. Don't use O3 for that. Yeah.
Pretty much. But yeah, I think that those were both good examples too. I think that is the scary thing to me, is that much like we've talked about with everything else, it's going to be on a person to make a responsible decision on how they use something like that. Like for learning, you can use it to teach yourself the sky is the limit of the things that you can learn with AI and do with AI.
Yep.
Or right now you can have it write you a paper that you can turn in, right?
Yes.
Both of them are viable. One of them is
Yes.
beneficial. One of them is not. Same thing with this, like understanding where your limit is of, okay, this has helped me up to the point it can help me now. It's time to move on past it. Or I'm going to keep this thing forever because that's the way I never lose the person that I cared about.
Yep. So that brings up another interesting point that they mentioned in the article that you've been referring to. AI is not a living, breathing thing. It's software that's hosted on a computer somewhere. And sometimes computers that host software go offline because companies go out of business or they get acquired, or the person paying to maintain the AI can't afford the however much per month they're required to keep this ghost alive.
Yeah.
And so the point of that was like, well, now you have to grieve again. Like you delayed your initial grieving, or maybe you did grieve in your way and you've settled into a comfortable pattern. But now you lose this person all over again. So I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it makes sense. What do you think, Artie?
That's a great point. The impermanence of digital platforms adds another layer of complexity. Relying on an AI clone that could be shut down or lost can create a cycle of grief. It emphasizes the need for careful consideration and potentially having backup plans. It's a reminder that even digital legacies are subject to the same uncertainties as real life.
So it sort of makes me think of, it did make me think of another topic, but I've completely forgotten it.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise. Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, Artie.
Nope. Got it. Ready when you are.
The one part in that paper, it caught me by surprise. They talked about pets, and I was like, got a little choked up all of a sudden. I was like, yeah, that would be. I would love to say that I wouldn't take my dog and put her in an embodied AI as a robot, but I might.
Yeah.
Like she was that kind of personality that I would just forever be with, right?
And you'd be able to tell too. Like she had a strong personality, and that's a weird way to say that.
No, she had a distinct personality.
Yeah, it was distinctive, and it wouldn't be hard to like. She wasn't an amazing dog because she was a philosophical, deep thinker, right? So
she was in tune.
She was in tune. Yeah. She was happy. And so like from a technical complexity perspective, it would not be that hard to reproduce.
Maya's almost there.
Yeah, that's right. I love that. I love the comment. She's a chatty little thing, isn't she? Like, yes, kind of like that. So yeah, I mean, pets are a thing. People spend tons of money. Oh man. So that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think about the people who spend money on harvesting DNA from their pets, right? Like we'll do that, I think.
And there's already robot dogs. I mean, they don't really look like dogs because they don't have heads, but they will eventually. Yeah. They could.
Yep.
Same with people. Like humanoid robots, they sort of wander around like C-3PO shit his pants, but that's not always going to be the case.
No, and it'll rapidly change.
That's right.
Everything is going to. I mean, if you aren't noticing yet, world, things are rapidly changing. Like rapidly. Like every day, there's a change in how fast things are moving. And while all this stuff sounds sci-fi, the tools are there to solve the problems for all the many smart people in the world trying to solve the various problems. They all have force multipliers now.
Yeah.
They will solve these problems faster. The force multipliers will become more multiplier-y, and we'll just get escape velocity. So
let's dig into on that a little bit. Artie can help us with this. So Artie, let's think about from a technical perspective with today's technology, or your most recent access to technology, whatever that might be. But what are the technical hurdles right now, if any, to creating a relatively convincing posthumous clone of a person?
One major hurdle is data quality and quantity. To create a convincing clone, you need diverse and extensive data, like voice recordings, writings, and videos. Another challenge is replicating personality nuances. An AI might mimic speech patterns, but struggle with deeper emotional or contextual understanding. There's also the ethical aspect of ensuring consent and managing privacy. Lastly, maintaining and updating these clones over time is a technical and logistical challenge.
So you fell asleep for this last time. A, the ethical things aren't a technical hurdle, by the way. But B, you fell asleep for this. So yes, data quality and quantity is definitely a hurdle, but quantity is only a hurdle for data specifically about that person, which could be social media, could be writings, could be their work, could be memories from loved ones, could be their memories in recordings or interviews. Holy moly, that truck's pulling weight. Could be recordings leading up to their death, right? Or interviews leading up to their death. Those are just surface level stuff. Couldn't you identify the personality traits of that person and then pick much more readily available literature that reinforces those things about that person? And then you have lots of quantity and quality of data because you can use that to basically fine tune a personality.
Absolutely. Leveraging broader datasets to fill in gaps and fine-tune a personality model is possible. By identifying core traits and preferences, you can draw from similar profiles in literature, interviews, or historical figures. This approach can create a more robust and nuanced representation, though it still requires careful curation to ensure authenticity and avoid projection. Balancing these elements can make the clone more lifelike and relatable.
And I only know this because this is exactly stuff that I've been researching a month and a half ago, probably, on how to impart personality on the conversational agent that I'm working on, because that is a thing. Like, that is how you do it. Sure. You give it, like, you say, like, I want you to be challenging and probing and thoughtful and helpful, and then you go out and you find adventure novels, and you find philosophical writings, you find psychological writings that align with the things that you want, and you find all of these different, 15, 20 different little aspects of things, and then you weight them however you want to weight them to form a personality, right? Like that shit's fascinating to me. But I absolutely think that's, I really don't think that data quality and quantity is a hurdle. I think it's a hurdle to get what you need to understand the person at that level.
Yep.
But then the deep dive from that, I think, just as long as that's quality and that's high quality enough, then you deep dive and you grab things that just reinforce traits and reinforce who that person was.
Yeah. I mean, so I was thinking when you were talking about that, like, if you have a bunch of video of somebody and then you say, oh, and they took a Myers-Briggs personality test and they're a, XYZR or whatever the fuck, that's a bunch of context, right? Yep. That's already well documented, pre-baked at whatever level of detail you want to go to. Like, as an example, if Melissa decides to clone me, which she won't, but if she did, she would probably mention that I took a emotional intelligence test on her phone. Very scientific.
Is this true?
This is true.
Okay.
And I would say, to both of our surprise, I scored very highly on it.
Really?
Yes. Like, that's the same thing.
I'm shocked too.
It's the same thing she said. It was like, it's not that I don't understand emotions.
Right. You can observe.
I know what they look like. Yeah. I just
your reaction to those emotions, or where the other part is.
What I actually believe is that I don't experience emotions in, like, some people's emotional experience meter goes to here.
Yeah.
Mine goes to, like, here. Like, oh, I'm really this, and it's like
7%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Except when I get really mad, which does happen sometimes. So anyway, that's it. So Artie, back to the technical question too. I think one of the other things that is being heavily studied right now by lots of people is how do I add persistent memory to an LLM? And so, Artie, your point about sort of low coverage on data, like you're going to have, it's going to vary person to person, but you're going to have, for some people, you're going to have relatively sparse data set, but the person who has decided that they want to stand up this we're just going to call it AI ghost, I guess. That's fine. So the person who's decided they want to stand up this AI ghost, they can interact with that once it's stood up and it's been interpolated from this sparse data set, and it's going to, right out of the gate, it's going to say something stupid, and they're going to go, oh, like they would never say that because they thought this. And today, you don't have a good way, Artie, to bake that into your training data. But as we persist, as we come up with better mechanisms to augment in better ways LLM's training data with new information, that'll go away as well. True or false, Artie?
True. Adding persistent memory and fine-tuning capabilities will definitely improve an AI ghost's accuracy over time. As LLMs evolve, they'll be better at integrating feedback and new data, which will help create more convincing, nuanced representations. It's a work in progress, but the trajectory is promising.
I mean, really, right now, the way you'd solve a problem like that is fill up a buffer with those things until you have enough information to do a fine tune that's worth doing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, my brain went all kinds of fun places when you said that, because like think about like AV personality, right? Like captured, I don't even know. Like how do you? Because training is a specific thing, right? You do forward pass, you do like all of this validation, backwards, back propagation, all this stuff to minimize error. I don't know. It's an interesting problem. I mean, memory in general is an interesting problem because I think ChatGPT is doing it. No, I feel like it's probably just like a fast drag database in the background, maybe. I don't really know. I don't know.
But
interesting problem.
Oh, go ahead, Artie. Sorry.
No worries. The challenge is balancing real-time learning with stable, reliable responses. Over time, memory systems will likely evolve to blend both short-term adaptability and long-term consistency more effectively.
That might be where we need a new architecture. I mean, Titans is one, right? But Titans will still have a limit. Like, I think we might even need a different architecture than a transformer to do something like that.
I watched an interview in my brief, 14-minute lunch break today with Jan LeCun. It was actually part of the interview from him at the NVIDIA, whatever their event was. I guess he spoke after the keynote. And he was saying, yeah, it might surprise you, but I'm not really paying that much attention to LLMs anymore, because he continues to fervently believe that transformers are not the path forward, because they're better. He said this term. It's so funny how stuff works with me, because I just need to hear it said in a certain way, and my brain goes, "Oh, yeah, got it." And what he said was, transformers are a great tool, but they are not good, and they will never be good at high-dimensional continuous problem spaces. And that is exactly the problem, right? Yeah. Language, as we've discussed before, is a finite. It's not one-dimensional, but it's not high-dimensional. The rest of the world, like what we see, how things work, world models in general, they're continuous high-dimensional spaces. And so transformers iterating across all possibilities doesn't work, falls apart, because there is no list of all possibilities.
Right.
So that was his argument, was exactly what you said, that there are other architectures that are already being studied, that are already being explored, that will probably usurp transformers and or LLMs, which are based on transformers, for these other parts. Now, that doesn't mean LLMs go away necessarily, right? They might still be the masters of language, but they will cohabitate and cooperate with these other architectured world models that give them insights into things that they otherwise can't.
Yeah, I mean, Google's using transformers for their world models on robots, though. I don't know. I think I mean, Jan LeCun works for Meta, right?
Yep.
And he's probably a little bitter because he works for Meta instead of these other big labs that are succeeding in things.
Yeah.
Whereas Meta just, trains to the test. And
Yeah.
I'm talking shit. They actually, their models are very helpful. Like, kudos to them for open sourcing stuff, making things readily available to people like me to build whatever my stupid heart desires.
Yep.
All I have to do is pull down a model, run it locally, and do things with it, or fine tune it, or whatever I want to do.
And they're big enough that they've pushed. I mean, OpenAI is starting to do some open source stuff too, right?
Like, well, I think that came from DeepSeek.
Well, it's probably a combination though, right?
Yeah.
Meta, DeepSeek, like everybody else who doesn't have the word open in their company name is open sourcing shit.
Yeah.
So to me, like, I have a long history of operations and manufacturing, and there's always that grumpy old electrician that hates everybody and hates everything. I always get along with that guy. Because and that's like Jan LeCun is that to me. Like
seems like it, yeah.
He's super sharp. He's been doing this shit for 30 years.
He's a brilliant person.
He's brilliant. He's seen it coming.
Yep.
He's probably very in tune with the actual current state of the art. Not to say he's always right. Nobody is, but I enjoy his sort of his opinions tend to be contrary to my beliefs about what's happening. And I like that because it gives me a way to balance.
Yeah.
It's
always good to get a different opinion.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, so back to AI goes. There's one more part of this discussion I wanted to talk about before we run out of time here. Although Artie's been shut off so much, we might have another 40 minutes. I don't know.
I think he said, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did give us the warning. You're right. Artie, how many minutes do we have left with you?
We've got about 5 minutes left. Let's make it count.
So we're not getting our full hour of Artie today, but whatever.
He probably doesn't know what he's talking about.
He doesn't. So the other point that they brought up was in the scientific paper that you keep disparaging by calling it a simple magazine article.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was religion, right? Like religions tend to have, now, of all the things I'm not an expert on, this is one of them.
Yep.
But I do know religions have pretty strong views on life after death and how that works and what happens when you die and all those things. And so they sort of opined in this paper that they would expect to see religions adapt and change over time to make this more or less acceptable depending on which particular religion you're looking at. Which I thought was like, it sort of brings home the magnitude of this kind of change, right? Like, the fact that now this is a thing we have to think about is religion's been around for a minute, all in its various forms. But yeah, it's going to have to get with the times, I guess.
How Jesus is going to come back.
It's going to come back. I would go to church if they had AI Jesus, as long as it was not Sam Altman, because it's a different thing. But yeah, like it is absolutely going to be a thing. Like I hadn't thought of this until just now, but it seems funny. I'm going to say it. Like if you're Catholic and you go to confessional, right? Like you don't need to have a real priest in there.
Right?
Now. You got
it's
AI.
an ordained AI.
That's right. It's an ordained AI.
It was made by the Pope.
You could ordain AI. It's like, that is probably a thing that will happen. Oh my gosh. Wild time. So Artie, in the however many minutes we have left with you, tell us what's the best and worst things that are going to come out of humans using AI to reproduce humans who have passed away.
Best case, it could provide comfort, preserve legacies, and even offer education.
Keep going.
All right, what's the last?
Go ahead, Artie. You were going to give us the best and worst things that are going to come out of generative ghosts.
All right, let's wrap it up.
But say it like a Valley girl.
Like totally. The best thing would be like keeping someone's legacy alive, for sure. All their wisdom and charm still around to inspire us. Worst case, like totally messing with the grieving process or even being used in like super sketchy ways. Not cool.
Not cool indeed. Thank you for that, Artie. Always a pleasure to have Valley Girl Artie close us out. God, I like every time you ask it to do that, part of my brain goes, here we go again. And as soon as he starts doing it, I just lose my shit.
I know.
It is, oh my God. I'm such a simple person. It is so funny though.
It is. He did a lot better this time than last week. Last week was terrible.
I mean, his brain shut off 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
But if I'm honest, me on any given day.
Yeah. I mean, I bet it happened at least 20 during this conversation.
Yes. 2 or 3. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it took so long for me to say I have an idea that the idea evaporated at one point. So I can't fault him for that. And yeah, he didn't speed up. He didn't go nuts. Yep. And that was a great Valley Girl to close it out.
It was.
So kudos to you, Artie. Always a good sport. I've actually thought quite a bit about this topic. I think it would be interesting. Let me back up a second. Watching an interview the other day with Sam Altman, and he recently had a kid. And the interviewer asked him a good question and said, what is the world that your kid is going to grow? This is why I don't interview real people. Describe the world that your kid is going to grow up in and what that's going to look like. And one of the first things Sam Altman said was, my kid is never going to know what it's like to not have computers be smarter than people. He's never going to expect that he's smarter than a computer, because by the time he's old enough to even understand it, 3 or 4 years from now,
it's going to be a whole different
landscape. It ain't even going to be close. And he used a story, and this was from it was a long time ago. I think even for him it was like 2002 or something, when iPhones and stuff first came out. And there was apparently a video of a little kid, like a toddler, in the waiting room of some doctor's office or something. And there was a magazine sitting on the table, like a glossy, and this little kid was trying to like get it to work as a touchscreen, right? And I thought that was such a powerful image, because in a 2-year-old's mind, they already know how to make the touchscreen go, and they don't know what the fuck a magazine is. And so when I think about this particular topic of, could I imagine a time where I wanted myself or some version of myself to live on, to meet my great grandkids or whatever, I think it would be super interesting, because they're going to have no idea. The world that we live in, the technology that we're excited about, the challenges, it's not going to mean anything to them.
Yeah.
They're going to be as confused as that little kid was touching the magazine. And so I think it would be fun to have something like that. But it also seems creepy and hollow and weird. And so, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. It's I don't think it's going to be great grandkid time. Like, I don't think it's going to be great grandkids before we don't recognize the world we live in today. I think it's going to be within our lifetimes, like within a decade for sure, that we don't recognize the world we live in. I think it's going to be faster. I keep revising how long I think it's going to be every couple months, basically every release cycle of things that come out.
That's right.
Because it is rapidly changing, and it's for most people outside looking in, even if they see the change, it looks like small incremental change. But the small incremental changes that are being made are actually monumentally, like they're huge changes.
Yep.
And, in 6 months, it's done what it's done.
Yeah.
And in a year, it's done even more, right? Yep. Like that first 6 months was kind of stagnant. Like we kind of got in right when stuff was starting to go crazy.
Yep.
But I mean, it's just going to accelerate. Like everybody says we're going to hit a plateau, we're going to hit peak data, we're going to hit this, we're going to hit that, but they'll just figure out the right ways to feed the right new information in. And with that will come more advances and more happy accidents, because all this stuff is mostly just happy accidents. It's people trying shit and getting unexpected and very good results out of what happened. Like language models weren't made with the intent of them understanding nuance. It was made for them to be, literally was made as an autocomplete. originally. That was its whole purpose, right?
And when they first started testing it, their testing showed that the bigger they made the model, the worse the performance got. But then it turned out there was a tipping point beyond which the performance got much better.
Yeah, and they're all just following the same. I won't say they're following the same playbooks. They're obviously experimenting with how things work, but they're all following the same general playbooks, right? And who knows, like when somebody goes, yeah, I'm just going to throw an extra $100 million at this problem and see if I can force it to do something else, and it unlocks something unexpected.
Yep. And the next disruption will be as transformative as the last ones have been, right? And
I am going to share something that I probably shouldn't share, but I think that there's secrets and hallucinations. I think that we don't pay enough attention to what happens during hallucinations.
Oh, interesting.
I still want to get to the point where I'm playing with that. I have too many other things to work on. Shameless plug, I'm starting a blog. But it's there's more things to research than there are people to research them.
That's right. Yes, it's so I have a bunch of other stuff I want to talk about, but we're in this pretty far. So I will say I think that it's going to be really hard to not have this topic that we talked about today. It is going to happen whether you think it's right, wrong, or terrible.
For sure.
It's already happening. It's going to keep happening.
Desire of people to not let go of things.
It's going to be monetized.
Yes.
It's going to be productized. It's going to be advertised. It's going to be used incorrectly. It's going to be used for nefarious purposes. Oh, nefarious. That's a great word. Love saying that. So yeah, it's going to happen. So we can all have opinions on it. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's happening. We're not going to stop.
You can resist it and get run over, or you don't have to embrace it, but at least acknowledge that it's coming, right?
Yep.
Like if you do that, then you won't get as run over.
And I think that's true for this topic with generative ghosts and AI in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you don't have to like it. You don't have to understand it. But it does behoove you to be aware of what's happening.
If you keep thinking that this isn't coming and it's not going to change things, then one day very soon you're going to get smacked really hard in the back of the head by it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So with that, a good smack on the back of the head.
Used to it.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. I hope everyone has a good week.
We can give any shout outs.
Yeah, fuck them.
All right. Yeah. For all four of you, just kidding. Wait. So this is down to one. But so fuck you individually, last listener. Thank you all for listening. We will catch you next week.
See ya.